Good morning from a pleasant anchorage in the sunshine in eastern Sweden. I'm going to talk to you right now about a navigation app which takes a new look at electronic charts and how to deal with them. It's called AngelNav and it's been developed by sailors for sailors, and the sailors are quite simply me and my pal Bill Aylward, who is not only a retired eye surgeon, he's also an expert in writing code. So here we are. What's special about what we've done? I have full modern electronics on this boat. I've got a chart plotter in my chart table, all the gear that you can possibly imagine, and it does a great job. But there are certain shortfalls in it that there are in all systems right across the globe. And what Bill and I have done is come up with a system that makes up for these shortfalls. Now, don't ask me what they are right now, because you'll see as we go through this video what we've done, and I'll bet you'll find that you've been thinking along the same lines. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. It works on an iPad, and what we're going to do first is plot a fix on the electronic chart, an old-fashioned fix which we can take with a hand-bearing compass, which is going to be lovely, isn't it? Because A, we can have fun doing it if we're just sailing along and wondering what to do with our lives, and B, perhaps more importantly, in the unlikely event of GPS ever going down, we'll be able to plot a fix on our electronic charts using traditional methods. Okay, here we go. This is a little video I've made about it. We're sailing across Poole Bay and we decide that we would like to take a compass fix. So we take out our hand-bearing compass from its handy stowage and sight on 3 likely objects, and we note the time, jot them all down quickly, and then we can plot our fix using AngelNav. First of all, I identify my objects just as I would on the paper chart, and I can see what I've got here. I might just zoom in a little bit to make sure that one is Bournemouth Pier, which is the one I've been looking at. Okay, now I double tap on the chart for my first position line, and I see that it says add chart work. That's what I want to do, and I want to choose position line. So I click on that, and then I grab the position line that's appeared using this blue handle and move it around until I get the first bit on where I've taken my bearing and the second bit on the actual bearing, which is going to be 320 true. There it is. We let go of the position line, and after a while it will end up just as a plot on the chart. You'll notice that the line is fairly short. It doesn't go all the way to Bournemouth Pier. That's because I have done it that way myself when I've created this program. I don't like to see pencil lines all over the chart. You just want it the length that you want it, no more and no less. And that seems to work well. So next position line is going to be on handfast point, down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Double tap on the screen brings up add chart work. Next one, we want position line, so we tap on that, and once again we move it to where we want it, and our bearing is 239. So there's our position line all ready to go. And our third one, which we always want, don't we, as a cross-check, is on Poole Harbour entrance, where there's a socking great hotel that you can't miss. So I'm going to double tap down there, and we get add chart work. And what I want is a position line. So I tap on that, and there she goes. Move that one into place, and the bearing I want is going to be 275. So there it is. And that's my fix. Now, if I want to be a bit more sophisticated than that, I can double tap again, go add chart work, and this time I'm going to choose fix. And here she is, look. I'm going to pop the fix, right in the middle, using the blue handle to move it around, and it gives me the time I took it at. Now, actually, it's taken me a while to do this, so I'm going to go back 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm going to tap on the time and take it back to, well, let's make it 1420. And there it is. Tap out of it. 1420, that's what I write in my paper log, that's my fix, and from there I work out my course to steer to get to where I want to go. Okay, we've got a fix. So what's the next thing you used to do when you were navigating, when you had a fix? You used to plot a course to steer, didn't you? And you might still want to do that one of these days. If you've got a cross-tide situation, you want to know what's the best course to steer. It's easy enough just to look at the modern plotter and wiggle the boat around till it's going where you want to go, but it's not really what a thinking navigator would do, is it? This is for thinking navigators, and here is how you plot a course to steer. We're approaching Dartmouth and we've got a fix on the chart. You can see down on the bottom right hand side at 14:59. So what we're going to do, we're going to double tap on the chart and we'll get our little box which asks us what we want to do, and we want to add chart work. The chart work we want to add is a course to steer. So we click on that and we get something that doesn't seem to make any sense at all. Well, the first thing we want to adjust on here is the actual track. The track, you'll recall, is the one that has 2 arrows on it. So we just put our finger on the track and we get some nice little blue handles again. We're going to Dartmouth, so we'll put him there. There he is. That's the track's in place now. Now, what about the tide? Well, the tide has 3 arrows. So if we want to adjust the tide, let's say we've had a look in our almanac and we've found that the tide is moving up channel in an easterly direction, a bit north of east at 2 knots. So we'll put 1 tap on our tide line and then we move him a little bit north of east and we make him 2 knots long. There he is. All we now have to do is decide how fast we're going, and AngelNav will do the rest for us. At the moment it's got us doing 8.4 knots. Well, that would be very nice, wouldn't it, for most of us with sailing boats, but mine's only going to be doing, well, let's give it 6.5 knots. I've got a grand broad reach. So I will tap once on the arrow, I'll grab this chap and move him down the line till I get to 6.5 knots, and there's my answer. I must steer 314 degrees true, and if I stick to 6.5 knots, it'll get me nicely in to within, well within visual range of Dartmouth. I'll be able to set up a visual transit and go in from there. That's it. Well, course to steer is really useful, but what is the actual bedrock of traditional navigation? It's the estimated position, isn't it? Because actually you work from that to produce a fix. So here's how you plot an EP, an estimated position, using course steered and distance run and whatever tidal information you have. Here's how it works. We're sailing out of Brighton Marina towards France, and we're doing about 5.5 knots and we've been out for 2 hours. We want to plot an estimated position. Here's how we're going to do it. We start off by double tapping on the chart and we get our little box which offers us our options, one of which is add chart work near the bottom. We press that, and looking at the next box up, the option it now gives us is estimated position near the top. So if I tap on that, it gives me a rough estimated position to play with. Now I'm going to grab this line by the blue handle and I'm going to put it in the entrance to Brighton Marina. It's got me steering 155. I think we'll steer 160, and we're doing 5.5 knots, which means we've done 11 miles. There we are. Now then, what about the tide? That's the crucial thing, isn't it? The tide is moving up channel at 2 knots, so it's going to have done 4 miles in the 2 hours that we've been going. So I've got that information out of my almanac and I'm confident in it. So to plot it, I'm going to tap on the 3 arrows that always are set on the tide line. That's how you know it's a tide line, because it's got 3 arrows on it. We'll tap on that and we get more handles. So we want 4 miles going up channel like that. And that is our estimated position. There it is, 16:25. We can put that in the logbook and we're ready to rock and roll. Now then, you'll have noticed that the charts on these videos are not quite like the charts most of us are used to seeing, because what we see on the plotters that we buy and the apps that we buy are vector charts. These are vectorized data charts, and they don't really look like paper charts, do they? There's something about a paper chart. It's a magical thing. It's easy to read, and there's lots about it that we miss with the vector charts. So What are these charts that we're looking at? Well, they're called rasters, and what they are is effectively a scan of the paper chart. It's then digitized and it works as a full-on electrical chart so that you can see your boat sailing across it just as you would on a normal vector chart. But it looks like a real chart and all the information's there for you. Here's a video I've made that explains exactly what a raster chart does for you. And here's Pool Bay, and we can see at the extreme left-hand edge of the chart we've got the entrance to Pool Harbour. If I squeeze into this with my fingers, that's the smallest I can make it go. If I pan across, I can see the entrance to Pool Harbour. There's not much detail there, but I'm going to zoom in now on the chart. Now, nothing is going to change on this chart when I zoom in. I'm going to do it by pinching with my fingers or pushing out with my fingers. You can see nothing's changed. Nothing else is appearing. There are no magical layers that are suddenly going to pop up. What you see is what you get, but you can see it very clearly. And obviously, if we're going to come into Pool Harbour through this East Loo Channel, which for sake of clarity I've put right in the middle of this chart, we're going to need more detail than that. So to get more detail, just imagine you were using a paper chart and this was your arrival chart. You'd get the next chart out that would be Pool Harbour and approaches, wouldn't you? And that would give you all the detail you want. Well, that's what we're going to do. And to do it, I put my finger on the chart and I hold it down for probably 3 seconds. And look, I've got a menu. Pool Harbour and approaches. There it is. I'll click on that and bingo. I've got everything I want. I've got all the detail for Pool Harbour entrance. East Loo Channel, which is the way I've decided to come in. What else have we got? Well, we've got lots of buoys, haven't we? And the buoys are obvious because they're set as though they were bobbing about in the water. They're set at an angle. Let's put North Hook right in the middle of the screen here so you can see it. North Hook buoy, flash 2 red, 5 seconds. Tells you what it is, and you can see it's a buoy, and you can see what its characteristics are immediately. Just to the north of it is a green beacon, and there's a series of beacons there, and you know they're beacons because they're standing vertical. You don't have to interrogate them to find out and go into the layers of menu to discover what they are. They are green beacons. And the one to the northwest of North Hook is 2 fixed green. And there's another one further in, 2 fixed green. You see immediately, just by looking at the chart, exactly what you're getting. Now, there's a lot of tide running around here. As you come into Pool Harbour entrance, the tide can be whistling along. And you come in past this big peninsula sandbanks here, and you're going to turn to starboard. And as you do, you're going to swing past a mark. And that mark is a beacon. It's a west cardinal beacon. It's in the middle of my screen, and you can see perfectly well what it is. It's standing upright, so it's a beacon. It's quick 9. That makes it west cardinal. If you're not sure about that, you can have a look at the top mark, which is also shown west cardinal. And it's yellow, black, yellow. West cardinal. You know what it is by looking at the chart. You glance. You don't have to be messing about with the chart. And that is a huge benefit. I just love that. As you move up the chart, you can see the channels immediately. They're very, very clear. Which channel you want to use is up to you, but you can see where they are. There's 2 choices here, really, aren't there? And as you go up, they come together and take you up to Pool Harbour Marina, Pool Quay, Boathaven. Now then, because this is a raster chart, if we zoom out and go down to the bottom, we can see that the title of the chart is there, just as it is on a paper chart. And if we go back to native scale, we can see that there are all sorts of useful notes, which you are not going to get, almost certainly, with most vector charts. It's all here. Boat channels, what you have to do to stay out of the way of big ships and be safe. It tells you where the shellfish beds are, where you should be careful about anchoring. It tells you about submarine cables, which you should be very careful about, and there's going to be a good few of those here. Eelgrass beds are mentioned, and all manner of tidal information. At the top of this chart, there's a depiction of the rise and fall rates for springs and neap tides. That's terrific. Just at a glance, you can see what you need to know. We're 3 hours before low water, and it's spring tides, So the tide is standing, but not much longer. It's going to start running out at a good rate now. So if we happen to be in the Swash Channel here and we're wanting to enter the harbour, we know the tide's going to be pouring out against us, and we don't like that. All this information is available on the raster chart. You can move from chart to chart with no difficulty at all. If we decide we're going to go from here down to the West Country, long press on the chart and we'll have Portland Bill to the Needles, which will take us down to the Bill of Portland. If we want more information, long press again and we can go Start Point to the Needles, which will take us right down to the West Country, down to Tor Bay, Berryhead, Start Point and Dartmouth. There's something else that AngelNav can do for us. For some years now, travellers in far distant places have been using satellite charts to help them augment the information that's on perhaps an inadequate paper chart. You take a satellite view and very often you can see through clear water and see what's going on. These charts can be very, very useful in certain situations. Usually, to get hold of one of these is a slightly tortuous process. To be honest, it's always frightened me because you have to use this program and that program and shuffle things around. With AngelNav, it's dead easy. You literally, well, you'll see what you do because I'm going to show you how to do it now. Here's how it works. Let's take a look at creating a satellite chart. This is one of the features of AngelNav. It's absolutely great that you can do this because it's huge fun. And it also can actually augment the electronic chart that you're seeing by having a look at the view from space. And very often the camera can actually see through the water. So let's take a look at the entrance to the River Exe down in Devon. Here's the Admiralty chart. Lots of good detail. This is the best one there is. It's as good a chart as you'll find, all sorts of detail on it. But we're just going to look at the entrance, zoomed out about like that. Now then, if we want to have a look at a satellite chart of it, we go down to the bottom of the page where there are 4 or 5 little buttons to push, and we're going to press Extras. And that will come up with Satellite View. Well, it's come up straight there because I've been looking at it just now. But Satellite View is the important thing. And we can zoom in onto this map, move it along, until we get down to where we want to be, where we want our chart. This will work anywhere in the world, by the way. So I'm going to zoom in on the entrance to Exmouth Harbour. At the top of the page, it says Satellite View. I'm going to press the little button there, and wow, look at that. Goodness me. Gosh, you can see a lot there, can't you? Okay, right, well, that's what we want, and we'll get the size of it that we want. I think that's given us enough detail for now. You can see that secondary channel going into the harbour, and actually it looks as though it's opened up a bit, but we're not sure. We have to be careful because this may predate the latest Admiralty chart. But the main thing is you can see the run of the sands most beautifully. Okay, so to download this and keep it permanently on the iPad, I'm going to press the little download button in the top right hand corner, the little arrow going down. There it goes. River Exe, save, and wait for a few seconds, and satellite chart River Exe has been created. Look at that. That's geo-fixed so that our boat will sail onto that chart just as though it was sailing on a paper chart or a vector chart on a chart plotter. And as we zoom in, all that detail is there. Look, we can even see the boats on the moorings. What a fabulous thing that is. Really useful. And if you were in the far Pacific, exploring a reef-strewn coast with charts that really were not adequate, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to have? So these are some of the features of AngelNav's raster chart system. But let's cut to the chase. What about updating the charts? Well, if you're using UKHO raster charts, those are what we call Admiralty charts, which are available for the whole of the British Isles and Ireland, they update automatically every 3 months. When you turn the system on, if it's due for an update, it just quietly does it and that's all you know about it. It's all done for you. One problem I've always had with every plotter I've ever used, and I climb onto boats all over the place and have to look at a plotter I'm not familiar with, and I wonder how it works. I start pushing buttons and I experiment and I do this and that. There never seems to be a decent manual that's very accessible, that's written by sailors, that actually answers the questions you want to ask. Well, we've sorted that. Because me and Bill, we're not all that bright, but we know how to do this and we know how to navigate. So we have asked the questions that you're going to want and we've answered them. The manual, which is in the programme, is concise. You'll understand what you're reading. If you want a quick reference, you can press a little question mark on the screen with the chart on it, and up will come a load of little yellow symbols which tell you what you can do and what you can't do. Instant help is available. The help system is the best I've ever seen. And if you want even more help, you can always go to the website and have a look at the videos that you've just seen. They're all up there, readily available. Now then, what about paying for this? What's it all cost? Well, the good news is that the app is absolutely free. You go to the App Store and you download it. You get a big chart of Great Britain, basically, to start with. That's yours for nothing. And you can play with that. You can do all the plotting and things that you want to on it for practice and see how you work out. And then you can decide which areas you're going to sail in. Now, if you're sailing in the United States, that's absolutely fine, because AngelNav will read American raster charts, which, as everybody knows, are available free on the internet via NOAA. That's very nice of NOAA, isn't it? You get them for nothing in America because they know that they've been paid for by the taxpayer. Doesn't work like that in Britain. So here you have to pay some money. But the way we've worked it, it's not a lot, because we've divided the whole of the country and Ireland, as I say, into areas that are digestible, the sort of areas you might want to sail. For example, the whole of the English Channel is available as a group of charts. The East Coast's another, Scotland, West Scotland, a lot of people sail there, lucky chaps. And once again, there's a group of charts for that. And the cost of one of these packs of charts is literally, well, it's the price of a round of drinks for a modest-sized crew. That's all it costs. I think that's wonderful, don't you? The app's developing all the time. We're working on it continuously. And at the moment of making this video, it's only available on iOS, so you need to have Apple gear to be able to use it. However, we've already had a huge amount of feedback from people who want it to be available on Android, and we're looking into that very, very positively, because we realise this is something that's got to be sorted out. So we're going to deal with that soon. Tidal information, which is available on some of the vector chart apps, is going to be available on AngelNav before much longer. That's really important, I think. Also, IMRA's raster charts. IMRA are a private chart maker if you come from somewhere other than the UK. You may not know about IMRA, but they do charts for all sorts of places, and they're great charts. They do Caribbean charts, which are very popular. The whole of the British Isles, they go all the way up to the Baltic, down into the Mediterranean. We are in conversation with IMRA, and they're keen to make a deal, so I'm quite sure that very soon we'll have the access to all the IMRA charts. And that is going to hugely expand the area which we can use. If where you are, you're using raster charts right now, they're available, for example, Australia and New Zealand, you can download those and use those also with AngelNav. And of course, wherever you are, you can hit that magic button and get yourself a satellite chart. To find more about this, either go to the Apple Store and download the app AngelNav for free, or go on the internet and dial up angelnav.co.uk, all one word, angelnav.co.uk. Go to the website, see what's on offer. The great thing about it to me is not that, of course, we need these days to be navigating traditionally all the time. Really, most of us will rely on a GPS fix, and why wouldn't we? But we don't want to lose the old skills, do we? Because it's fun to know that you're connected to history, and perhaps even more importantly, the time may come when we need them once again.